Hello everybody and welcome back to Shadowrun. You will probably notice immediately that I am experimenting with something this session. I've been using a little talk sprite in the corner of my streams all this week. So I figured it might be fun and interesting if we were to do it in the Let's Plays. So for this session, for this next batch of videos, I will be using the Luka Chan talk sprite. Do let me know down in the comments how you feel about it, if it's too intrusive, that sort of thing. I just think it's fun and I like using it, so we're gonna use it. But if it is an issue, I will not use it. I'll just reserve it for the streams, you know? 3 people, possibly locals, are busily hunched over, avidly discussing something beneath their breath. From the looks of them, they appear to be sailors, rough-hewn clothes stained by salt, leathery skin, and an acute awareness of being on land. You watch their feet shuffle awkwardly on the docks. Their whispers are just within earshots.
Nah, I asked Crafty, and she said the same. The dreams is bad.
Think we'll lose them at sea? We're supposed to set out soon to make that delivery. What if they follow us? You see the man shudder.
I don't think so. Crafty said these things is just affecting right here for now.
This first sailor points to the ground.
As soon as we sail, dreams will stop.
Hey! A third sailor sees you and taps her friends on the arms. They shoot upright. One examines his fingernails, another coughs loudly and begins to hum, and the last pretends she didn't see you. But when they sense your continued stare, the third speaks up. What are you looking at, Landy? What am I looking at? I guess I should probably just ask about the dreams. You feel an uneasiness pass through the sailors. Seems anyone who comes by these parts is having them. As soon as they leave, the dreams stop. Right eerie it is. Any leads on why they're happening? We don't know much ourselves. We've only just returned from our last delivery, but the dreams ambushed us fast enough. Hey, what about that Crafty? The sailor turns to you. She runs the 5 phases, smart girl. Might know a thing or two about this blight. You ask her and she may have something more to say. There was a boat here with a merchant selling goods not too long ago. He leave? The 3 sailors' suspicions turn into smirks. One snickers to herself. Merchant, she says. That crook didn't so much as leave as he was chased off by Kindly. No sales permit, not a big loss though. The local shops have way better stuff than that small-time hustler. Why don't you look around? You'll find the shop owners here more friendly toward you now that you've gotten the okay from Kindly. Thanks for the tip. Alright. So I know the old men don't have much else to say. Let's talk to this guy. It's muggy out, even for Hyoi in monsoon season. You pause to mop your brow. Suddenly, you feel eyes upon you. As you glance up, you meet the tranquil, searching gaze of a man half hidden in shadows. He's wearing a crisp white-tailored suit, shirt sleeves neatly rolled, with a dark gray silk tie and smart black trousers. If he's sweating, you don't see it. The man tilts his head ever so slightly in greeting.
A newcomer, welcome.
He flashes you a bright smile, eyes glinting with bemusement. You can just barely detect a faint trace of an accent in his voice.
Handsome Lee's the name, purveyor of enhanced sensory experiences. I can see that you've got some tales to tell.
You're not from around here, are you? His smile flickers briefly. He's got a decent poker face, but you can see that he's rattled.
And, why do you ask?
You've still got an accent, Lee. It's barely there, but I can hear it.
Ah.
He fidgets uncomfortably.
You're right, I'm not from Hyoi.
Recent transplant or just passing through?
Recent transplant. I split my time between Hyoi and Aberdeen, though I'm mostly in the latter these days. I come here by way of Taiwan. That was my home until I was forced to flee during the Nationalist War.
What is that? What's the Nationalist War? I'm really curious about that.
I hear you have a slight accent as well. Let me guess.
Emphasis on the slight. The corner of his lip curls smugly.
Seattle?
Good guess. Redmond Barons. Handsome Lee suddenly fixes you with his gaze, sizing you up. His face is impassible.
Nasty place.
It toughened me up. I've got nothing to be ashamed of.
I know just what you mean. My own life experiences have left me ready for anything. But we can discuss this another time, yes? Let us not talk about business. I am a businessman after all. Yeah, I don't want any drugs, bro. I'm fine. I'm good. Alley cat. Oh, wait. Two men in dirty synth leather jackets look up from their conversation at your approach. That's a hard word to say. Synth leather. They both look haggard, their shoulders slump with exhaustion, and neither appears to have shaved this morning. What do you want, woman? We're talking here. I'm new in town. Figured it'd pay to make all the connections I can. A grim chuckle rumbles out of him. You chose the wrong day, stranger. We're moving further downstream, and we're doing it today. There's something wrong with this place. Too many bad dreams. Yeah? What sort of bad dreams? The kind that bite. You'll see it too if you stay here long enough. The long hall and the thing in the ivory crown. I've already seen it. He licks his lips, nodding. Lots of people in town dreamed it, or something like it. From the folks I've talked to, there were a bunch of different versions. Some people turned away from the corridor, went down alleys, that kind of thing. I've never even set foot in the walled city before, stranger. So tell me, why the hell am I dreaming about it all of a sudden? I don't even know what the damned thing looks like on the inside. I think that there's something strange going on, something magical, and the walled city is where it's coming from. He grunts. It's a curse. Nothing else it could be. Everybody knows that place is haunted, a living hell full of evil spirits and poisoned ki. If you're not careful, you'll wind up trapped inside with the rest of the human garbage. Wow, fuck you. His companion cuts in. You catch a heavy whiff of alcohol on his breath. That isn't gonna happen to us. No way. Only the lowest of the low wind up in the walled city. So like he said, we're going further downstream. As soon as our things are packed, we're out of here. Damn right. This place is a dump anyway. Let's try our luck in Macau. To hell with this place. Best of luck, then. I think he's right. I think I am the one that's going to need the luck. Let us collect payment for that job that we just did. Oops. Wait. Oh, I'm going all over the place. There it is. Kindly's pretty okay with the fact that we let them live and had them tried for their crimes. So there are a couple here that are not jobs. So we'll do this. This is from Isabel. Duncan asked me to do some digging on my own into Raymond's history. I guess he doesn't trust Kindly Chang to give him the full story. I can't say I blame him, since she'd hide things from us if it was in her best interest to do so. So I've been poking around various corners of the Matrix trying to dig up what I can. Most sinners leave a data trail the size of an aircraft carrier in their wake. Working backward in time, Raymond starts out that way, but it slowly tapers away into nothingness. Sure, I can find some basic records in Seattle. Power utilities, a couple of public discussion sites he signed up for, but the further back I get, the less I find. And the craziest part is this. Prior to 2032, I can't find anything at all. And that shouldn't be possible. It's like Raymond didn't exist before then. I don't know. I'm going to keep digging, but it'll take me a while. I'll let you know when I get some news with sharing. Alright. Opportunity. Oh yeah, that's maximum law advertising to me. About those dreams. Gobbet's face winks onto the screen. Her rats are perched precariously on her head, and she holds a laser pointer clutched between her thumb and forefinger. Oh, hey, Seattle. I hope they didn't catch you at a bad time. She flicks the laser pointer, and her rat's heads swivel to the right to follow the motion. Why did I just say that? This is a recording. It doesn't matter if it's bad time. Well, anyway, I was thinking about the talk that we had, you know, the dream talk about the nightmares and stuff. Another flick of the pointer. The rats' heads turn left, their noses twitching. I've got a friend here in town. She runs the Parlor of Five Phases. It's sort of our local magic shop and talismonger. Name's Crafty. Flick. The rats' heads turn upward to stare at the ceiling. Anyway, she's smart. Really smart. Her mom was sort of a local authority on all things magical, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you wanted to ask anyone in town about these dreams, she'd be the right one to choose.
She taps a button on the laser pointer with her thumb, and the little red dot in the tip goes dark. The rats immediately tackle one another, rolling off her head and falling out of sight. She gets up, her head rising out of frame. Anyway, just thought it might help. If you've already been talking to Crafty, please disregard this message. Alright, I'm out. Peace. She punches a button and the screen goes dark. Okay, these are jobs, so I think the next one that I want to do is this one. Alley Cat, I need you to come to the parlor. A friend and business partner of mine named Dr. Shen Yang has need of your services. Something about attending a fancy party in Repulse Bay. He was unwilling to give me the details. I think he wanted to size you up himself. Alright, that is the next one we will do. We should get some Z's. Talk to the folks. Okay. There we go. You wake with a start, your limbs bound up in a sweaty tangle of linen bedsheets. An incredible sorrow swells in your chest. You feel empty, half-starved, and alone. Fragmentary memories of a half-remembered dream flit through your mind. They're already fading away to nothing. Chase the memories. You close your eyes and concentrate, willing yourself to keep the dream from slipping away. Gradually, the memory comes back to you. The walled city. You were back in the walled city. You don't remember how you got there, but it couldn't have been any place else. Even the barrens weren't so squalid. You remember craning your neck to look above you. The buildings that made up this part of the walled city were new construction, even cheaper than the old. Now their foundations had rotted out from under them, and the buildings leaned into one another like a gang of drunken men. A rain of plaster and asbestos sprinkled down, dusting your shoulders. You began to creep forward, picking your way past the piles of refuse and debris. Past the pimps and the dumpster fires, the broken glass and the dirty needles. The air reeked of rot and sewage and industrial waste, a disgusting melange that caught in your sinuses and crawled down your throat. You gagged on the stink, but it didn't slow you down. In the back of your mind, you knew that you had no reason to be doing this. There was nothing for you in the walled city. You shouldn't have been there. But the rest of you was hungry, unbearably, indescribably hungry. And that part of you knew that if you keep moving, you'd finally get to eat. As you forced your way deeper into the walled city, locals stood at their windows and stared. Inexplicably, some of them dropped to their knees. You kept moving. You could see something in the distance, a silhouette. Something enormous, at least twice the size of a troll, but delicate. It was beautiful. The huge figure beckoned to you, gesturing with slender limb. An explosion of warmth filled your chest, and you knew that if only you could reach it, your problems would be over. She would make all of your sorrows disappear. You moved forward at a crawl, but the figure felt impossibly far away. You reached out, calling to her, and then you woke up. The empty feeling in your stomach slowly fades, taking the strength and vibrance of the memories along with it. Huh. Interesting. Walled City's bad news, guys. Who would have figured? You enter Wu's cabin to find him moving through some sort of stretching routine. His muscles ripple as he flows tranquilly from one pose to the next.
You look different, Bubusky.
Better, I hope.
Sort of. It's like I flipped forward a few chapters instead of turning a page. I mean, you look like you, just not the you I knew.
Sounds like song lyrics. Wu chuckles.
No more song lyrics for me. I gave up that dream a long time ago. Remember how Lockjaw used to make fun of my singing voice?
He smiles. His teeth are perfect.
He said I sounded like a frog with a heart on.
He shrugs.
I thought my voice was distinctive. I mean, I'm no Maria Mercurial, but... So, what about you?
He gives you a once-over.
How are you doing?
Good, actually. This is the life I always wanted.
Yeah, I knew you'd take to it, and you're good at running this crew. I still don't completely understand, though. What do you get out of being a Shadowrunner?
It's about seeing the world how it really is, underneath the veneer.
Most people don't want to know how the sausage is made. Shit's fucked up bad. You can see it right there from the outside. No need to look beneath the casing to see what's inside. You're not gonna like it. And even if you're the type that needs to know, the type that can't help but look into the abyss, what do you get out of it? Odds are you get nothing but a shorter lifespan. The trade-off doesn't really seem worth it to me. And at the end of the day, what are you? A Shadowrunner. A disposable asset. Sinless. Slithering through the cracks of society. Doing jobs that are too dirty for the corpse to do themselves. You don't even appear on a corporate balance sheet.
Runners can be more than that. They can move their own agenda, fight the power.
I've never heard a story where a Shadowrunner did something other than kill someone, steal something, or perpetrate some other sort of shady shit. But good luck with that.
Duncan, that's like sort of the point. That's sort of like the shadow part of Shadowrunner. We work in the shadows. You're not supposed to know. You know? Wu watches you, waiting for you to say something. You thinking about getting chromed up?
With cyber?
He shakes his head.
Oh my god, how many times are you gonna ask me that?
Until you give me a satisfying answer. Wu grins, his teeth are blindingly white.
I told you one time I was thinking about it when I was 13. Let it go, I'm not gonna pollute my body with that shit. You?
I'm saving up for something.
No judgment here. Just don't put too much of that shit on your body. I've heard stories about folks who went too far with it. Lost some of themselves.
So something I find really interesting about cybernetics and Shadowrun lore is that it's sort of unlike cybernetics in cyberpunk lore, in which in cyberpunk you lose bits of your humanity when you get cybernetics. In Shadowrun, you lose your like affinity towards magic. And that really seems to be it. There's a very good character in Shadowrun Dragonfall named Glory who kind of goes into detail about what that does and like why she basically replaced most of her body with cybernetics. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that right now, I think. I want to talk about you and me. He rests his eyes on you a moment, his face neutral.
Yeah, I guess now's as good a time as any. You start.
You're not acting like the Duncan Wu that I grew up with. What made you decide to become a cop?
I needed structure. Bad. You know that better than anyone. I was already hardcore when we met, Mr. Ultra-Violence. I'd do anything to get a rise out of the guys I was rolling with. Gouging eyes, inverting knees, curb stomping. That shit got me cheers. I was like a pit fighter, bloodletting for the crowd, and I learned to enjoy it. But I never learned how to block out the memories of their screams when I was lying in bed at night. The guilt started eating me alive, and then I was scared to be alone with my thoughts. So I tried to drown them out with all the things that you drown things out with.
I remember that you were pretty messed up when we met. He shakes his head sadly.
Yeah, I was. But I got a lot better when we found a squat together, and even better later when we went to live with Ray. I was still a violent son of a bitch, but basically under control. That was because of you, Alley Cat. You were the voice of reason, and the brains.
Me? The brains?
Don't pretend you weren't the leader. You know how it was. When we ran the streets together, I was the muscle and you called the shots. You pointed and I hit. But later, after Ray got me some counseling, I realized I let you call the shots so that I wouldn't have to. Because I knew that what I wanted was wrong. By following your lead, I was deflecting my own guilt onto you. I could just knock heads and walk away clean. You know, don't look at me, I'm just doing what I'm told. And then you left. Without you there, I knew that I was in serious trouble. The poster boy for anger management issues. Raymond could provide a stable environment, a decent therapist, and money for prescriptions, but you know Raymond. He's an egghead engineer with a philanthropic streak, not a drill sergeant. And a drill sergeant was what I needed. I needed structure and discipline in a way that he couldn't offer me. I needed a cage to keep myself in line. So I found myself a cage made of rules and procedures and training. Lone Star. Raymond helped me with my application and provided a decent character reference. I got in and it helped a lot. Lone Star got me where I needed to be, and now it's all gone, and you're back.
Seems like Carter's death hit you pretty hard. Wu continues stretching.
Yeah, she was a good one. We were a real team. Joining Lone Star helped me in all sorts of important ways, no doubt about it. I really embraced being a cop. I studied my ass off. but no matter how hard I worked, I was never more than a model cop with a brutal streak. There were plenty of assignments that were perfect for a big, mean orc like me. Assignments that could have fed my need to hurt people. But I met Carter about a year in, and she changed things. She talked about values and goals and priorities, and constructing the life that you want to live. She was a real trip.
Sounds like a good woman.
She was a cop, a partner, a mentor, and a serious badass when she needed to be, but yeah, she was a good person too. She kept me focused. When Raymond asked me to meet him in Hong Kong, I had a feeling I was going to wind up going off the reservation if I didn't bring Carter along. And now she's gone, and here I am.
I say that you honor her memory by showing her how much you've learned. Wu's mouth drops open and then curves into a grin. He shakes his head, still smiling.
I'm sorry, did Bubusky Meowlissa just give me sage advice? Sounds like you did some growing up of your own.
You've been waiting a long time to ask me about the night I left, haven't you? Wu chuckles and hooks his thumbs in his belt.
I guess I have, yeah. It's about what you were doing before you got thrown into that corp facility. You said that you had a friend who was in a bind, but that was all you could say. How'd it go?
Let's just say we're not friends anymore and leave it at that.
Whatever you say, Bubusky.
Do you ever think about when we were kids? It begins moving through some sort of pattern. Might be Tai Chi.
I try not to. What are you talking about exactly?
The old gang, Lockjaw, Double Tray, those guys.
You realize that old gang you're talking about were teenagers, right? Younger than Gobbit. Man, they felt so old back then. But Lockjaw couldn't have been more than 17 tops. And Double Tray was only 13 when...
Wu stops moving, drifts off for a moment.
Why were you thinking of them?
I miss the clarity of that life. Scrounge for food, defend your squat, watch each other's backs. Wu returns to his patterns. He manipulates an imaginary soap bubble between his hands.
Clarity, huh? We were living between the red-hot nukes and the 162s. Crazy-ass dwarf anarchists on one side and flesh-eating ghouls on the other. Those are the days that you long for?
Long for? No. I was just thinking that it's the same now as it was back then. No. Our priorities were simple. His raspy baritone fills the space between you. Bridges it.
Survive and watch each other's backs. Yeah, I know.
What did you think about that last run?
I don't know, Bubusky. I've had enough of ghouls for one lifetime. The Barons were full of them. Remember what the 162s did to that Aslander family that lived by the Old Town Center? Remember how we found them?
Sure, but in all fairness, they were asking for it. They were keeping secondhand organs in a walk-in freezer. I mean, what did they expect?
Yeah, but still, nobody deserves to go out like that.
He grimaces.
I don't know, Bubusky. I don't think I'll ever get comfortable with having a ghoul on our crew. Made sense to keep those elders alive, by the way. Good call. We don't know anyone in this country. Seems wise to try and get some allies.
No, we're done.
Yeah, later would be good. Don't get me wrong, catching up is nice, but I'm not used to being as social as this. That's one of the reasons why it was so nice to work under Carter. We both appreciated long silences.
Hey, if you, I'll clear out then. Give you your personal space.
Thanks, I'll bask in it. Oh, and good talk, Bubusky. I'll catch up with you later.
So, Duncan seems like a good guy. He seems like he has the best of intentions at heart, and he wants to do good and be good. But I find it difficult to reconcile that with the fact that he's a cop. It's very difficult for me now in the year 2020 to look at Duncan Wu and think, yeah, this guy's probably a good guy altogether. It's like, I don't know. I have a lot of difficulty with Duncan as a character in general. I think it's complicated. Isabel is jacked into the octopus. Her body sits inert, her breathing shallow. As you approach, an image blossoms onto the largest of the octopus's view screens. Hello down there, it's good to see you again. She smiles down on you from the monitor, her outline scintillating with blue-white light. She looks peaceful, at ease. Nice avatar. That's a good look on you. Isn't it? I've spent months customizing this avatar. She feels more real to me than my own skin. You feel really at home in the Matrix, don't you? You look happy in there. I suppose that I am. It's a comfort thing. As long as I'm jacked in, I can be whoever I want to be. Whatever I want to be. Out there in meat space, I usually feel uncomfortable in my own skin. The avatar offers you a lopsided smile. I'd probably just live in here if I could. I've heard about deckers who've tried it. It never turned out well. Dehydration is a bad way to go. I know. And of course I was joking, but truth be told, I do spend most of my time out there wishing that I were back in here. You're a decker, you must know what I'm talking about. The freedom of it. It's hard to live in a cage of meat when you know how sweet it feels to leave your body behind. This whole thing smacks of gender. That's all I'll say. She pauses for a moment, considering. Then her avatar shimmers forward, filling the screen. A slight frown crosses her face. You know, Alleycat, I've been thinking about the question you asked me a while back. The one about the walled city? The avatar fidgets. The one that I dodged. You don't have to make a big thing out of it, Isabel. It's fine. It isn't, though. Not really. I cheated you out of an answer that I owed you. For what it's worth, I wasn't trying to do that. It's just that talking about the walled city is problematic for me. I understand. I grew up in the Barrens. I know how hard it can be to talk about this stuff. No, it isn't that. I'm not explaining myself correctly. It isn't that I'm tortured by bad memories or anything like that. The problem is that I can't remember my childhood. The walled city, that entire chapter of my life, is nothing but a blur to me. I can give you general information about life on the inside, but the specifics of my own experience are gone. Gone? What do you mean gone? Do you have amnesia or something? Something like that. The avatar fidgets on the screen. There were a variety of factors in play. The upshot of all this is that there are things that I can tell you about, but only a few, and only in broad strokes. Don't expect any personal stories. I couldn't share them even if I wanted to. So if it's okay with you, if you'll be satisfied with trivia and urban legends, then we can talk. Just say the word. Otherwise, well, at least now you know why. How did you lose your childhood memories? The Isabel avatar frowns. I'd rather not go into it. It's personal. Suffice it to say that I've never missed them, at least not until now. Sorry, didn't mean to intrude. It's alright, I'm not offended. There are just some things that I'd rather not talk about. Give me what you can about the walled city. At this point, anything could help. Alright. The avatar licks its lips, nods. I can do that. Isabel's avatar turns, begins to pace on the screen. Where she steps, spider webs of light spread across the tiled ground of the octopus's sculpted matrix hub. When I think of the walled city, the thing that stands out the most in my mind is the legends, the mythology of the place. If I hadn't lived with them, I might have found those stories fascinating. The scintillating figure turns to you on the screen. Did you know that Kowloon Walled City is supposed to be cursed? That's what the locals believe. We had ghost stories and everything. Of course you had ghost stories. Every place has ghost stories. Spirits are real, Isabel. Not the ones that we talked about. Our stories didn't concern city spirits or spirits of man or any other known supernatural phenomena. We had our own homegrown legends about demons from another place. Imaginary monsters that haunted the walled city. The Yama Kings. Wait, the walled city is possessed by demons? No, not really. It'd probably be easiest to think of the Yama Kings as urban legends. Our own little pantheon of monsters and morality tales. Tall tales about things with claws to frighten ourselves with at night. The stories are still clear in my mind even after everything that happened. Everyone in the walled city believed them. You can get out of the walled city if you make a deal with Fu Mang. Cut the hearts from the 44 people closest to you and bring them to him. He will reward you with riches. Don't go under that arch or Kian Ya will catch you. The avatar grabs at the air, its hands leaving glowing trails as they move. She'll whip out your teeth, tie your tongue in a knot, and make you her slave for eternity. We had Shi Xiang, our own homegrown judge of souls. People will let themselves be flayed alive in hopes that he'd reawaken them in a better life. And we had Lam V, the ebony queen, who would teach you to hide so well that you'd slowly mutate into a cockroach. The avatar cocks its head, smirking, a dismissive gesture. It's all bullshit, of course, but everybody in the walled city believed it. If you're so convinced that these things are myths, why does everyone in the walled city believe in them? Because they're an excuse. My parents and neighbors, their whole generation, invented the things to explain away their own failings. I can't get ahead because demons are keeping me down. Woe is me, woe is me. It's almost embarrassingly transparent when you really look at it. Lom V is turning people into cockroaches? It's just a Kafka-esque trope layered onto a morality tale. Chi Xiang? She's just a Nubis with a different coat of paint. And you know that archway that I mentioned? The one that Kiana Ya was supposed to haunt? I knew someone who found it. There was nothing on the other side but concrete. It's all superstitious drivel, Alley Cat. The misery in the walled city isn't the fault of demons or devils. We created it and we perpetuate it. We blamed made-up monsters for our own failings. There's nothing more pathetic than that. It sounds less like you're trying to convince me than it does like you're trying to convince yourself. I don't need to convince myself of anything. I'm telling you this for your benefit, not mine. Anyway, that's enough for now, huh? I'm sure that gives you plenty to chew on. My obligation to give you an answer is satisfied, I think. So let's talk about something else. Any thoughts about that last run? She shakes her head. Nope, sorry. Jacking into the octopus is how I relax after a long day of work. Some people go to sports bars or strip clubs. I do this. As a rule, I don't spoil my leisure time with shop talk. Hey, if that's the way you feel. It is, so if you wouldn't mind changing the subject, I've got to go, Isabel. Alright, cool. Isabel's neat.